And this is an opportunity for the members of NSA to share their journeys. And I get a chance to put parts of their journey in the magazine in my column called the Speaker Toolkit, focusing on strategies and best practices for speakers that are making a huge impact in the professional speaking industry. Now, today I am talking to someone who I'm so excited. I can't wait for her to share her journey. Her name is Barbara Glanz. She's a CSP CPAE, which means she's a member of the Hall of Fame for professional speakers. Now, what I enjoy, first of all, about Barbara is just her heart. She's known as the business speaker who speaks to your heart as well as your head. She lives and breathes her personal motto, spreading contagious enthusiasm. She lives in Sarasota, Florida, and adores her 4 grandchildren, Gavin, Kinsey, Owen, and Simon. But guys, she's barely there. She's always in a different country. She just flew in from somewhere. She is the first speaker on record to have spoken in all 7 continents and in all 50 states. So organizations as diverse as Nordstrom's, love to buy my shoes there, Honda, Southwest Airlines, Bank of America, and the list goes on. Even Meetings and Convention magazine voted her best keynote presenter you have ever heard or used. And she was recently selected as a legend of the speaking profession. She has been one of the top 10 speakers since 1997 at the Society of Human Resource Management's International Convention. Welcome to Speaker Magazine, Barbara.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you. So where did you just fly in from?
Australia. And whoa, love that country. If you have a chance to go, do it. Just a long flight, 30 hours, travel home.
30 hours. And I follow you. We're Facebook friends. I love how you just take pictures and you really get into it. This has become a lifestyle for you.
You know, I love other cultures. I love to meet other people and just experience the beauty of our world. It's just a joy, a blessing.
And so you get to do that while impacting people with your brilliance, which is what we all love. Now, you've been in this business full time since 1995. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you become a professional speaker?
Well, I was a high school and college English and drama teacher, and in fact, I always include in my introduction that I directed David Hasselhoff in his first high school play. After that, and he still is, but a good guy. So anyway, then I stayed home for 19 years and I made my kids my career. But one of the really good things that I did almost unconsciously was I finished my master's degree in adult learning. And that has been a huge addition and inspiration for me in terms of designing programs. And then when our son was going off to Dartmouth, I needed to earn a little more money. So I went back as full-time manager of training for a Times Mirror company. And they did training, consulting, and measurement and customer service. So I grew their staff from 11 to 60. I helped write a lot of their programs. I designed their facilitator certification process. And that was a wonderful background for me to have. And I started speaking at our conferences, and then clients wanted me to speak at their conferences. And I realized I could impact so many more people than just 16 or 18 master trainers. And so at that point, I kind of bit the bullet, took the risk, and started my own company. And it's just been an amazing blessing.
It almost seems like you were born to do this, for sure.
Sometimes I feel like that. You know, when I started the company, I just said, God, you gave me this gift, so this is your company, and you put me where you want me to be. And just amazing. I grew up in a town of 4,500 in Iowa, and never in my wildest dreams would I ever have thought that I could speak on every continent and 70 some countries. So it's, again, if you give it up, Ken Blanchard has become a good friend. His definition of the ego is edging God out.
Oh, yes, that is so true. I love it.
You know, so I'm really clear. I'm just the messenger. I work hard, but I know I'm just the messenger. So
now, what made you decide to add the international world to your message? A lot of folks, speakers say local, but why international?
I didn't decide. God did. So doors opened again. One of the interesting things that happened, I became good friends with Ken Blanchard through an encounter in the ladies' restroom at ASTD. That's a whole nother story. But he invited me to their client conference. It was probably 1996 or 95, and maybe a little later, 97. Anyway, there were people there from Greece, and I said to them, oh, I would absolutely love to come to your country. My favorite thing to teach was Greek mythology. And it was just a fun conversation. So about 6 weeks later, the phone rang at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not a morning person. So I was like, who's calling me at this hour? And the person said, hi, this is Dinos Lambrinopoulos. How would you like to come to Greece? And so that was my first international experience. And I spoke in Athens, Thessaloniki, and then on the island of Crete. And just doors open. A lot of things, one of the questions that I often get asked is, what is one of the best things that I did to grow my business? I decided when I had started my company, I'd gone to ASTD, American Society for Training and Development, as the training manager. And I saw so many speakers that were not very good. And I thought, I can do better than this. And so the year before I left the company, I did a proposal to speak. And it's unheard of to get accepted the first time, but I did. But I was the very last session on the very last day of a 5-day conference. And I thought, nobody's going to come to this session. Anyway, it was standing room only. Out of that one presentation, I got a 5-year contract with the state of Michigan. And that was the impetus, to really springboard everything that I was doing. And then I applied to speak at Society for Human Resource Management. And that was the best thing I've ever done. I spoke for the first time in 1997. I was one of their top 10 speakers. This will be my 20th year of speaking at that conference. And you have to do a proposal, which is a pain in the neck, but, and you have to do it a year ahead of time. But now it's wonderful. They just call me and say, what do you want to speak on this year? And I get 1,800 to 2,000 people in each of my sessions, all of whom can hire me. So I would really suggest everybody find out what big industry conferences your audience will attend and make it high level. And even they don't pay me, they pay my expenses. But it is the best marketing tool that I could possibly have.
So you're smart, clearly smart, but looks like the best business moves that got you in the spotlight, I guess our version of giving you your big break was choosing the right industry conferences. Now,
Yes.
Barbara, a big part, a lot of folks speak and they can't seem to get past the 6 figures or get in the high 6 figures, let alone 7 figures. What were some of your smart strategies that allowed you to not only have success as you worked inside your business, but as you work on your business?
Well, first of all, writing books, I think, is you've got to publish if you're going to be in this business. And again, I was very, very lucky. All my books have been published by major publishers, and that credibility has added a lot. I'm sure you probably heard the story of Johnny the Bagger. Over 5 million people have watched. They've made 2 movies of it, and over 5 million people have watched one or the other of the 2 movies. And that story I had been telling, really, it happened soon after I started my company. And Ken Blanchard said to me, one of the ways we met was I told him the story, and he had tears, and he was closing a conference of 15,000 people, and he said, could I share that story if I credit you? And of course, I could only say yes. And out of that, he suggested that we do a book together based on Johnny the Bagger, The Simple Truths of Service, inspired by Johnny the Bagger. And that little book has sold over 500,000 copies. And so I think that story is so touching, and it says to people, anyone can make a difference. It doesn't matter what your job is, how much change is going around you, you can make a difference wherever you are. And that's my whole message. So really doing that book with Ken, the 2 movies, those were both springboards, again, to just get my name out there more. And my business really is a keynote based, although my strong background is in training. I you know how we get pigeonholed the way people see us. And so the bulk of what I do now is keynoting. But I'm writing, I've got 2 new books in process, and I just strongly recommend to everybody to, get it. And I'm biased in terms of going with a mainstream publisher if you can. If that doesn't work out for you, then self-publish. But I like the credibility. I like that you get paid instead of having to pay. And certainly you have to do a lot of your own marketing, but they do a good job with it as well.
This is wonderful. And I don't know if I mentioned that you wrote 12 books.
Yes.
And co-authored 1 book. So I want to make sure everyone heard of that. Now, being in the business for a long period of time, you've seen a lot happen in this industry. Where do you think your staying power comes from? I mean, what is it that has allowed you to, stay and just thrive in this industry all of these years?
Well, I love a quote from Will Rogers, and he says, to be successful, you have to know what you're doing, love what you're doing, and believe in what you're doing. So you have to have the expertise, and that's, you've got to stay up and do research and reading and interviewing and talking and so forth. You've got to have a passion. I think there are speakers who are very good speakers in terms of expertise, but it's almost rote for them. There's not that passion and belief. And then the third thing is you have to believe in what you're doing. That to me is the authenticity. And I really think that is my strongest gift, is I am exactly the same person on the platform as off the platform. And relationships is what our whole business is based on. And I think when people can see, they may not agree with what I say, but I think that they respect that I believe it with my whole heart and soul. And so one of the things that I often do, I always get asked what was my hardest group, and I've had some tough ones, the Department of Corrections, the IRS, but the most difficult one was the Singapore Security Police. And they're a dictatorship. They have total power. They could shoot you, cut your hand off, and they were all men, all between 45 and 65, and I had them for a half day on customer service. So I can just remember so vividly about a half hour into it, and they're all sitting like this with their guns and holsters and uniforms. And I'm a woman, I'm from the US, I'm talking about service when they have complete power. Anyway, about a half hour into, this little thought went through my head, oh my gosh, is this going to be my first big bomb? And about a half hour later, I just stopped and I said, can you tell how much I believe what I'm sharing with you today? This isn't a presentation to me. It isn't a job. It's how I try to live my life. And it was like the floodgates opened up. And at the end of the morning, they stayed 4 hours on their own time. They all wanted a picture taken with me to sign their books. They went to the Prime Minister and asked to bring me back for 3 days and speak to each of them 30 minutes individually. And so it really taught me that everybody has a heart. Everybody. And it may take longer to get through to some than others. But I think when people see your heart in what you do, as long as you have the expertise, because you got to have that. But if they can see your heart in what you do, I think then, again, they may not agree, but they will respect that you really believe this, and that gives some credibility.
Now, clearly you know what you're talking about, you're passionate about what you're talking about, and the expertise, everything sort of shines through. On the business side, Barbara, what would you say are your strengths? With some speakers, it's marketing, it's sales, it's systems, it's team. What are your strengths?
Well, again, I think it goes back to relationships, using the networking opportunities that we have. Joining NSA was a huge one, getting my CSP, all of those connections. Yeah, I can't say enough about that. And there's so many opportunities that come to learn and share with other people, not only speakers, but also our clients. And I think that for me is my strong suit. And the writing, of course. I really appreciate and enjoy the writing. I am not very good at marketing. My business has all been word of mouth and referral. So I'm blessed with that. So that's not a strength of mine, but again, because I'm not in control, it's okay.
And then what about folks that are around you, especially with you traveling? I'm thinking when you're in Singapore or some other country, someone is holding it down for you here.
Yes, I have a wonderful assistant who's been with me almost 6 years now. And then I have some virtual people. My son-in-law is my webmaster, and one of my daughters is my graphic artist. And so I do have some great virtual people to help out.
And I want to compliment you on your website. I wanted to check it out and grab your intro. And boy, I love that it has the demo video there, and it has, what you talk about and testimonials from your clients. And would you say your website has helped you in your business, or help folks at least learn about what you do?
I definitely think it has. I think I had a wonderful website before that I loved, but it was huge. And so this is new. This has only been up maybe 8 or 9 months, but I think there's a lot more clarity to the website now. Maybe not quite as much heart, but that's okay. It's
Well, I just thank you for your time. Any final comments that you'd like to give for not only the NSA community that's listening, but all the aspiring speakers out there? Because you speak from your heart. Anything you want to let them know? Because so many folks, this is their dream. They want to get out there, Barbara, and they want to impact the world like you get to do every single day. Any final words for them?
Well, one of the things that I did early on that's on all my materials, and I would really suggest to people, I have 3 guarantees. And I mentioned this at the beginning of every speech. Number 1, I want to whack people's thinking. I want them to leave looking at things differently. Number 2, I want to give everybody a very personal sense of mission that they can make a difference. Doesn't matter, again, like Johnny, what their job is. And number 3, I want to get their creative juices going. So I guarantee that they will leave with at least 6 to 8 immediately applicable action ideas. I think almost everybody today is in survival mode. So if we can give them something easy, simple, clear, that they can take back and apply immediately, I think we have the greatest chance of really impacting and helping them internalize that message. So I would just say to new speakers, be persistent, be passionate, do your homework, and just be blessed with this amazing profession.
How can folks reach out to you? Should they, where do you hang out? I don't know if you're on Facebook or
I'm on all the sites. Just barbaraglanz.com is my website, and you can find me on all of them. I love to hear from folks. I especially love to hear their ideas of things that they're doing. Because I think we all need, we're so stressed with communication today that what can we do like right now? And one of the quick ideas that I always share with them is how many of you have meetings? And of course, everybody raises their hand. So what are most of your meetings about? What's going right or what's going wrong? And everybody says wrong. So I say, okay, here's what I'd like you to do. From now on, every time you go to a meeting, it can be in your school, your church, your community, in your workplace, but ask to start that meeting with 3 minutes of good news. And just ask anybody in the meeting to share any good thing that's happened in their family, their community, on the job, in the world, because we're so focused on what's going wrong. And so just little things like that people can do immediately to focus more on what's going right and how lucky we are just to be alive, just to have gotten up this morning.
That golden nugget. This is why we love her. She's a fellow CSP and just so loved and so admired in the NSA community. Thank you, Barbara, for saying yes. You know, I know you're still trying to recoup from your international travels. You got all pretty for me to be on camera. Thank you so much. And guys, don't forget to read her highlights of this interview in Speaker Magazine and the Speaker Toolkit column. My name is Marquessa Petway, again, a business reinvention expert out here in New York City. And don't forget to share this amazing interview with your friends. It's located on speakermagazine.com, not to mention NSA's YouTube channel.